The arc reactor in Tony Stark's chest pulsed with steady blue light as his Mark 85 suit tore through a reality that had no name for what was happening. One moment, he'd been testing experimental dimensional stabilizers in his Malibu workshop. The next, space itself had split open like a wound, dragging him through a tunnel of fractured starlight and screaming physics. The HUD inside his helmet went haywire, displaying impossible readings. Distances measured in parsecs, energy signatures that shouldn't exist, and a gravitational map of a galaxy he'd never seen. When the universe finally spat him out, Tony found himself tumbling through what his sensors identified as a hyperspace lane. Except hyperspace wasn't supposed to exist. Ships the size of city blocks materialized around him, their angular designs nothing like any Earth spacecraft. They weren't sleek or aerodynamic. They were brutal, efficient, and covered in weapons. JARVIS, please tell me you're seeing this, Tony said, stabilizing his flight with repulsor bursts. I am afraid I cannot, sir, his AI responded, voice crackling with static. My databases contain no reference for our current location. However, I am detecting widespread energy signatures consistent with directed energy weapons, primitive fusion reactors, and I am uncertain how to classify the remaining readings. They appear almost organic in nature, yet permeate space itself. Tony watched a massive wedge-shaped warship cruise past, its hull painted stark white with geometric symbols he didn't recognize. Smaller fighters, twin-engine craft with hexagonal wings, screamed past in formation. Their pilots either not noticing him or not caring about one more piece of debris in the void. Right, so we're not in Kansas anymore. Tony engaged his thrusters, angling toward what looked like a nearby planet. Orange-brown atmosphere, desert terrain, visible from orbit. Run a full diagnostic. I need to know if the suit's still at full capacity after that cosmic washing machine experience. All systems operating at 100% efficiency, sir. The arc reactor remains stable. However, I should note that local communication frequencies are saturated with transmissions in an unknown language. Attempting to decode now. Tony's hoodie flickered as JARVIS processed terabytes of intercepted data. Images resolved. Helmeted soldiers in white armor, imposing figures in black cloaks, a symbol that looked like a gear with 6 spokes. And then a name, repeated across countless transmissions. Empire. Okay, so we've got an authoritarian regime with a flair for the dramatic. Why does that not surprise me? Tony descended toward the planet's surface, scanning for signs of civilization. Cross-reference everything you're picking up. I need to know what kind of dictatorship we're dealing with and how to... His sensors pinged. An energy signature unlike anything in his database, but unmistakable in its purpose. A detention facility. Massive, fortress-like, crawling with those white armored soldiers. And buried in the lower levels, a biosignature that matched. Tony blinked. JARVIS. Are you pulling data from my subconscious, or did we just get a mission briefing from the universe itself? Unknown, sir. However, I am detecting what appears to be a targeted information packet embedded in the dimensional residue that brought us here. It contains coordinates, a biological profile, and what I can only describe as an objective. An extraction. Tony's eyes narrowed behind the faceplate. Someone in another dimension just hired Iron Man for a rescue op. That's either incredibly convenient or a really elaborate trap. He engaged his cloaking systems, the suit's nanotech shifting to bend light around him. Either way, we don't leave people in cages. But first, I need to know what kind of security we're dealing with. The planet below was called Geonosis, according to the data his AI had decrypted. It was a wasteland of rust-colored rock and ancient droid foundries. now repurposed by this empire as a high-security research prison. The target, a Geonosian engineer named Click-Clack, one of the last survivors of his species, imprisoned for refusing to build weapons for his captors. Sir, I am detecting an unusual phenomenon in local culture. JARVIS interrupted. Intercepted civilian transmissions reference an approaching holiday called Life Day. It appears to involve gift-giving, family gatherings, and, based on commercial advertisements, extensive decorative displays. Tony's lips curved into a smile. Life Day, like Space Christmas. He rotated in midair, considering the massive star destroyer in orbit above. JARVIS, remember that time I infiltrated the Mandarin's compound dressed as a pizza delivery guy? I urged you not to, sir. And it worked perfectly. Now, let's talk about how a billionaire philanthropist genius in an extremely advanced suit could walk right into an Imperial prison facility. Tony's HUD displayed the suit's current configuration: red and gold, arc reactor glowing blue. Reconfigure external plating. I want red and white color scheme and brighten that chest reactor, make it look festive. If this galaxy celebrates Life Day, then they're about to meet their most generous gift giver. Sir, you cannot be serious. Deadly serious, JARVIS. We're going full Santa Claus. The nanobots rippled across his armor, red shifting to a brighter crimson, gold panels fading to brilliant white. Iron Man's going undercover as the armored Kris Kringle, and we're delivering the galaxy's best gift, freedom. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The transformation complete. Tony Stark, now resembling a futuristic, weaponized Santa Claus, set course for the Imperial facility. His arc reactor pulsed like a star against his crimson chest plate, and his repulsors hummed with barely contained power. Somewhere in that fortress, a prisoner waited for rescue. And Tony Stark had never missed a delivery deadline in his life. He just hoped this galaxy was ready for a holiday miracle with repulsor cannons. Tony descended through Geonosis's thin atmosphere, his sensors painting a grim picture of the planet below. The once thriving hive cities were ruins now. Collapsed spires and shattered domes scattered across crimson badlands. Only one structure remained active, a fortress facility carved into a mesa, surrounded by deflector shields and anti-aircraft batteries. Imperial banners, that six-spoked gear symbol, hung from parapets like threats. JARVIS, full analysis, what am I looking at? Imperial Security Complex RX-7, his AI replied, streams of decrypted data flowing across Tony's HUD. Designated high-value detention center. Current garrison, approximately 2,000 personnel, including stormtrooper divisions, Imperial officers, and surveillance droids. Defensive systems include particle shields, turbo laser emplacements, and what appear to be gravity well projectors preventing unauthorized departures. So they're not just keeping people in, they're making sure nobody can hyperspace jump out. Tony circled the facility at 10,000 feet, cloaked and silent. What about our target? Click-Clack, Geonosian engineer. According to intercepted Imperial records, he possesses comprehensive knowledge of advanced droid manufacturing, energy weapon design, and... JARVIS paused. Sir, the Empire has him classified as expendable intellectual property. Execution scheduled for tomorrow. Tony's jaw tightened. Yeah, that's not happening. Pull up everything you've got on Imperial security protocols. I need to know how these people think. For the next hour, Tony hovered in the upper atmosphere, his suit's arc reactor barely drawing power as JARVES worked through petabytes of stolen Imperial data. What he discovered painted a picture of an organization built on fear, rigid hierarchy, and absolute control. Stormtroopers followed orders without question. Officers competed ruthlessly for advancement. And at the top of the pyramid sat someone called the Emperor, a name spoken in transmissions with genuine terror. Fascinating, Tony muttered, watching patrol patterns through his enhanced optics. They've got the weapons, the manpower, the infrastructure, but their security doctrine is built on intimidation, not innovation. They think their reputation makes them invincible. He smirked. That's where they're wrong. Sir, I should note that our dimensional insertion appears to have created residual energy signatures. Long-range sensors detected the anomaly, and Imperial Command has issued a fleet-wide alert for unidentified spatial disturbances. So they know something weird happened, but they don't know what or where. Tony's mind raced through possibilities. That gives us a window. They're looking for a threat, not a delivery guy. He accessed the Life Day transmissions JARVES had intercepted. Advertisements for decorative lights, family feast packages, gift services operating even under Imperial occupation. The Empire, for all its brutality, still allowed certain civilian traditions. Good for morale, probably, and more importantly, good for infiltration. JARVES. Can you fabricate credentials for a Life Day gift contractor? Something that would get clearance to access Imperial facilities? Certainly, sir. However, I must point out that Imperial identity verification systems are quite sophisticated. They utilize biometric scans, encrypted data chips, and all of which run on technology about 50 years behind what's in my left gauntlet. Tony pulled up a holographic workspace, fingers dancing through projected interfaces. We're not going to crack their system. We're going to make their system think we belong there. Watch and learn. He created a shell company, Festive Solutions Unlimited, complete with fake contracts, shipping manifests, and a spotless Imperial compliance record. JARVES generated a civilian identity. Antonius, independent contractor specializing in morale enhancement services. The arc reactor's unique energy signature was masked as an experimental portable fusion cell for extended operations in remote facilities. Sir, this is remarkably thorough forgery. I've had practice. Spent 3 months undercover in Eastern Europe once. Long story. Tony reviewed his crimson and white armor configuration. The suit's weaponry was concealed beneath decorative plating, his repulsors disguised as thruster-assisted cargo deployment systems. To Imperial sensors, he'd read as an eccentric civilian with expensive equipment, not a threat. Now for the approach vector. Tony studied the fortress. Direct descent would trigger every alarm. But there, a civilian transport lane leading to a secondary landing pad, used for supply deliveries. JARVES, spoof a transport beacon. Make it look like we're an authorized supply shuttle coming in from the nearest trade hub. Adjusting electromagnetic profile now, sir. Tony engaged thrusters, descending through the atmosphere with the careful trajectory of a supply vessel. His HUD tracked targeting sensors sweeping across him, threat assessment algorithms analyzing his energy signature. For 3 heart-stopping seconds, a turbo laser battery locked onto his position. Then the weapons powered down, his forged credentials accepted. Welcome to RX-7 Contractor Transport. A bored voice crackled over comms in that strange language, which JARVES translated in real time. Proceed to landing pad Gamma 4. Have your identification ready for inspection." "Roger that, Control," Tony replied, JARVIS, modulating his voice through the translator. "Looking forward to spreading some Life Day cheer to your hard-working garrison." He descended past shield generators and weapon emplacements, the fortress growing larger until it filled his vision. Stormtroopers patrolled walkways, their white armor gleaming in Geonosis's dim sunlight. Officers in gray uniforms moved with mechanical precision between buildings. And somewhere in the bowels of this place, a Geonosian engineer waited for a rescue he didn't know was coming. Tony's boots touched down on the landing pad with a pneumatic hiss. The armor's nanobots rippled, configuring his appearance to maximum harmless civilian, though he kept every weapons system hot and ready beneath the cheerful exterior. A stormtrooper patrol approached, their rifles held at parade rest. An officer followed, datapad in hand, expression already bored by routine. "Identification and manifest," the officer demanded. Tony's faceplate retracted, revealing his face, confident smile firmly in place. "Antonius, Festive Solutions Unlimited. I'm here to brighten up your life day with premium decorative installations and morale enhancement services." He projected a holographic manifest from his gauntlet. "I've got authorization codes, safety certifications, and a personal recommendation from Sector Command about the importance of maintaining troop morale during the holiday season." The officer scanned Tony's forged documents, frowning at the datapad. The stormtroopers shifted slightly, fingers near triggers. Tony kept smiling. "I know it seems unusual, but high-value facilities like this often get overlooked for civilian services. Your people work hard. They deserve some festive cheer. And between you and me..." He leaned in conspiratorially. Command loves seeing cultural integration in action. Makes them look good on reports. The officer's expression shifted from suspicion to consideration. Tony had played this game 1,000 times. Find the angle that makes people want to say yes. In this case, the angle was career advancement through good press. "Your equipment will need to be inspected," the officer finally said. "Absolutely." The interior of Imperial Security Complex Orex-7 was exactly what Tony expected from a fascist regime with interior design issues. Gunmetal gray walls, harsh lighting, and absolutely zero personality. Stormtroopers marched in perfect formation through corridors wide enough to accommodate military vehicles. Officers barked orders from elevated command stations. Security cameras tracked every movement with mechanical precision. Tony walked through it all like he owned the place, his crimson and white armor drawing curious stares, but no challenges. JARVIS worked overtime, mapping every corridor, tapping into security feeds, and isolating Click-Clack's location 6 levels below ground in detention block Creche. "Sir, I have identified the optimal infiltration route," JARVIS reported, highlighting pathways on Tony's HUD. "However, it requires passing through 3 security checkpoints, 2 restricted zones, and what appears to be an officer's mess hall currently occupied by approximately 40 personnel. So a direct approach is out." Tony paused at an intersection, letting a squad of stormtroopers pass. Their armor was pristine, movements synchronized. But he noticed the slight variations in their gear, the worn edges on their weapons. These weren't elite troops. They were garrison soldiers going through the motions. "What about environmental access? Maintenance shafts, ventilation, power conduits?" "Available, but heavily monitored. Imperial doctrine mandates sensor coverage in all secondary access routes following numerous rebel infiltration attempts." Tony smiled behind his faceplate. "They're worried about rebels. Good. That means they're predictable. He approached a wall-mounted terminal, extending a nanowire interface from his fingertip. Let's see what their security network looks like from the inside. The connection was instantaneous. JARVIS flowed through Imperial systems like water through cracks, copying data, mapping networks, identifying vulnerabilities. What they found was simultaneously impressive and laughably outdated. Military-grade encryption, from Tony's perspective, was something he'd cracked in his 20s. Security protocols are robust but inflexible, JARVIS analyzed. They follow predetermined patterns with minimal adaptation, facial recognition tied to biometric databases, movement tracking through embedded sensors, automatic alerts for unauthorized personnel in restricted zones. All stuff that works great against people who belong in this galaxy. Tony disconnected, already formulating his approach. But their sensors don't know what to do with me. My tech signature doesn't match anything in their database, so we're going to use that confusion. He activated his holographic projectors, creating a shimmering Life Day decoration display around himself. Floating lights, cheerful colors, the works. To Imperial sensors, it would look like exactly what he claimed to be: a contractor testing his equipment. In reality, the holograms masked his armor's true capabilities, while JARVIS used the projector emissions to ping every sensor in range, mapping the facility's security grid in real time. Okay, so here's the play, Tony muttered, walking deeper into the facility with false confidence. We can't sneak past their sensors, there's too many. But we can overwhelm them with false positives. Make security think their systems are glitching from my civilian equipment. Get them focused on technical problems while we slip through the chaos. A sound strategy, sir. However, I must point out that deliberately causing system malfunctions will draw significant attention. That's the idea. Attention up here. Tony gestured to the upper levels. Means less attention down there, where our Geonosian friend is waiting. He rounded a corner and found himself face to face with a security checkpoint. Blast doors, scanning arrays, and two very alert stormtroopers flanking an Imperial officer behind armored glass. The officer's voice crackled through a speaker. State your business in restricted area Besh 7. Tony spread his arms, holographic Life Day decorations swirling around him in a festive display. Just testing optimal installation locations for maximum morale impact. Your command staff requested facility-wide assessment. It's all in the work order. He projected forged documents toward the scanning array. The officer frowned, reviewing the data. Behind the glass, Tony could see multiple screens displaying security feeds, threat assessments, and, there, a system diagnostics panel showing nominal operation. That was about to change. JARVIS. Introduce some interference into their sensor grid. Make it look like electromagnetic distortion from my equipment. Nothing too severe, just enough to be annoying. Acknowledged. Sir. Tony's holographic projectors pulsed with a barely perceptible frequency shift. Across the security station, monitors flickered. Sensor readouts spiked momentarily before stabilizing. The officer's frown deepened. Your equipment is causing interference with our systems, he said sharply. Oh, is it? Tony feigned concern, adjusting imaginary settings on his gauntlet. I apologize. Civilian-grade fusion cells sometimes emit unexpected harmonics in militarized environments. I can recalibrate if... 3 alarms went off simultaneously. Not from Tony's position, but from separate locations across the facility. Security cameras reporting glitches. Motion sensors triggering false positives. Environmental systems detecting phantom anomalies. JARVIS was conducting a symphony of technological chaos, and the Imperial security apparatus was scrambling to respond. The officer's attention split between Tony and his malfunctioning equipment. Other personnel rushed to address the cascade of minor failures. In the confusion, the checkpoint's blast doors remained sealed, but the scanning array deactivated for 3 precious seconds as it rebooted. "Sir, I have temporarily disrupted sensor coverage in detention block Kresh," JARVIS reported. "However, the window is limited. Imperial technicians are competent. They will isolate and resolve these anomalies within approximately 8 minutes. 8 minutes to reach a detention block 6 levels down, extract a prisoner, and escape." Tony had worked with worse odds. "My apologies for the inconvenience," Tony said, backing away from the checkpoint with exaggerated contrition. "I'll recalibrate my equipment in a less sensitive area. Don't want to interfere with your important work." The officer waved him off dismissively, already barking orders at subordinates scrambling to diagnose the system failures. Tony retreated around a corner, waited until he was out of direct line of sight, then activated his armor's full stealth configuration. Nanobots shifted, bending light around him. His energy signature dampened to near invisibility. The festive red and white exterior dimmed to matte black. In 2 seconds, Tony Stark went from cheerful civilian contractor to completely undetectable infiltrator. "Now we move," he whispered. He bypassed the checkpoint entirely, using repulsors at minimal power to lift himself into an overhead maintenance shaft. Imperial sensors, already overwhelmed by false alerts, didn't register the brief energy spike. Tony crawled through conduits meant for droids, his armor's compact profile allowing passage where humans couldn't follow. "Navigation to detention block Kresh," he commanded. JARVIS projected a path through the facility's infrastructure, power conduits, ventilation shafts, maintenance corridors. Tony moved with practiced efficiency, pausing only when patrol routes forced him to wait for clear passages. His HUD tracked every stormtrooper, every security camera, every potential threat between him and his target. 5 levels down. 6. The air grew colder, recycled through systems that prioritized function over comfort. This was where the Empire kept people it wanted forgotten. Prisoners too valuable to execute immediately, but too dangerous to release. Through ventilation grates, Tony glimpsed detention cells, featureless rooms with energy fields for doors, occupied by aliens whose species he didn't recognize. Click-Clack's cell is 30 meters ahead, JARVIS indicated. Single occupant. Guard rotation pattern suggests minimal oversight. Prisoners at this level are considered escape-proof due to facility-wide security measures. They haven't met me. Tony reached the appropriate ventilation shaft, peering down into a corridor lined with detention cells. 2 stormtroopers stood guard at the far end, weapons ready, but posture relaxed. They weren't expecting trouble. Tony waited, timing their patrol pattern. When both guards turned away simultaneously, he dropped from the shaft with near-silent grace, repulsors cushioning his landing. 3 steps brought him to cell designate Kresh 17. Inside, a Geonosian huddled in the corner. Insectoid features, translucent wings, 4 arms folded defensively. Click-Clack's compound eyes widened as Tony's armor materialized from stealth mode, the faceplate retracting to reveal a human face the alien had never seen before. "Hey there," Tony said quietly, his translator converting English to something Click-Clack could understand. "I'm here to get you out. Name's Tony Stark, and I've got about 6 minutes before this place realizes that Santa Claus just broke into their maximum security prison." Click-Clack clicked and chittered, the sounds translating through Tony's systems. "You, not Empire, not Rebel, What are you? I'm a guy who doesn't leave people in cages. Tony examined the energy field holding Click-Clack prisoner. Directed particle stream, generator embedded in the wall. Crude, but effective. JARVIS, can we disrupt this without setting off alarms? Negative, sir. The field is monitored. Any interruption will trigger immediate security response. Tony smiled. Then we won't interrupt it. We'll overload it. He placed his palm against the generator housing, arc reactor energy flowing through his gauntlet in carefully measured pulses. The field flickered, destabilized by power input it wasn't designed to handle, then collapsed in a shower of sparks that looked exactly like equipment failure. Click-Clack stumbled forward, disbelieving. You free me? Why? Because someone sent me across dimensions to do it. And I've got a strict policy about not disappointing mysterious cosmic benefactors. Tony extended his hand. Come on. We've got about 4 minutes before the guards realize your cell just suffered a completely coincidental technical malfunction. And when they do, I need you not screaming and running in random directions. Can you follow orders? The stormtroopers opened fire without hesitation. Blue bolts of energy screamed down the corridor. What Tony's HUD identified as directed plasma packets, essentially superheated gas contained in magnetic fields. Crude compared to repulsor technology, but effective enough to punch through most armor. Most armor that wasn't made of bleeding-edge nanotechnology powered by an arc reactor. Tony raised his left arm. His repulsor flared, generating a localized energy field that caught the incoming fire and dispersed it harmlessly. JARVIS, non-lethal countermeasures. I don't know if these guys are conscripts or fanatics, but I'm not killing people on my first day in a new galaxy. Deploying concussive pulse, sir. Tony's chest reactor flared brilliant white. A shockwave erupted from his armor, slamming into the stormtroopers with enough force to hurl them backward into the walls. Their rifles clattered to the floor. Behind Tony, Click-Clack made a series of rapid clicks that the translator rendered as terrified profanity. Stay behind me, Tony commanded, moving forward with Click-Clack stumbling in his wake. JARVIS, how much time before this entire facility comes down on us? Approximately 90 seconds until reinforcements arrive at detention block Creche. Facility-wide lockdown protocols are activating. Blast doors sealing primary corridors, shield generators increasing output to prevent unauthorized departures. Then we don't use corridors, and we make our own exit. Tony's HUD overlaid structural analysis on his vision. Load-bearing walls, power conduits, weak points in the facility's architecture. Plotting escape vector. We're going up and out, straight through the ceiling if necessary. He reached an intersection where 3 corridors converged, each one now sealed with heavy blast doors descending from the ceiling. More stormtroopers poured in from side passages, at least 20 hostiles taking defensive positions. An officer shouted orders, directing fire teams into overlapping fields of fire. Basic tactics, but effective against normal threats. Tony wasn't a normal threat. Hold on to something, he told Click-Clack, who wrapped 2 arms around Tony's waist while his other arms gripped support struts on the armor. This is going to feel weird. Tony's boot repulsors flared. He launched upward at velocity that would have pulped an unaugmented human, smashing through the corridor ceiling in an explosion of metal and conduit. Sparks rained down as they punched into the level above. A storage area filled with supply crates and confused logistics personnel. Emergency extraction in progress, Tony announced cheerfully, touching down just long enough to recalibrate. Please remain calm and don't shoot at the festive armor, it shoots back. He didn't give them time to react. Another repulsor burst carried him upward again, crashing through the next ceiling into what appeared to be barracks. Stormtroopers in various states of undress scrambled for weapons. Tony's left palm fired a concentrated EMP pulse, frying their rifles' power packs before they could fire a shot. Level 3 of 6, JARVIS reported. However, sir, I must inform you that Imperial Command has identified you as a high-priority threat. They are deploying specialized assets. What kind of specialized? Uncertain. Imperial communications reference Inquisitors being notified of an unauthorized Force-sensitive presence. Tony paused mid-flight. Force-sensitive? I'm not... Wait, they think my arc reactor is this Force thing everyone keeps talking about? The energy signature is unusual enough to trigger their detection protocols. They appear to believe you are a rogue Force user. Great. So I'm about to meet space wizards who think I'm one of them. Tony adjusted his trajectory, angling toward exterior walls instead of straight up. Change of plans. We're not fighting through 3 more levels of stormtroopers. We're making our own exit. He fired repulsors at maximum output, the twin beams punching through reinforced Dura steel like tissue paper. Geonosis's thin atmosphere rushed in through the growing hole, and Tony accelerated toward it. Click-clack, clutching his armor in absolute terror as they exploded out the side of the fortress at 300 kilometers per hour. Behind them, alarms wailed. Turbo laser batteries swiveled toward the breach. Tony banked hard, using the fortress itself as cover, while his sensors painted targets. Anti-air emplacements, shield generator nodes, landing pads filled with Imperial shuttles. Sir, multiple TIE fighters launching from upper hangars, estimate 24 hostiles inbound. Tony saw them, hexagonal winged fighters screaming through the sky with distinctive shrieking engines, fast, maneuverable, and armed with those plasma weapons. His HUD analyzed their flight patterns, aggressive, swarm tactics, no shields. They relied on speed and numbers. JARVIS, how do our specs compare? The Mark 85's maximum velocity exceeds their performance by approximately 40%. However, their energy weapons are numerous. Recommend evasive priority. Evasive is boring. Tony's weapon systems armed with thought commands, repulsors, missiles, lasers, the full arsenal. Let's show them what happens when Earth's best pilot meets their TIE core. The fighters opened fire, green energy bolts filling the sky. Tony twisted through the barrage, repulsors carrying him in flight patterns no human pilot should survive. The G-forces would have killed anyone without the armor's inertial dampening. Click-clack's terrified clicking reached new pitches. Tony returned fire, repulsor beams lancing out with surgical precision. Unlike the TIE fighter's rapid-fire plasma, his shots were focused, powerful, and didn't miss. 3 fighters exploded in the first volley, their hull metal vaporizing under concentrated energy. The remaining pilots scattered, attempting to regroup. They're good, Tony admitted, dodging return fire while scanning for the shield generator. Disciplined, aggressive tactics. But they're flying tin cans with laser pointers. He spotted his target, a massive installation at the fortress's peak, crackling with energy. JARVIS, if I take out that shield generator, can we outrun whatever they scramble next? Affirmative. However, destroying a primary Imperial facility will escalate this incident significantly. They kidnapped an innocent engineer, locked him in a dungeon, and just tried to shoot me down. I think we're past de-escalation. Tony angled toward the generator, dodging turbo laser fire from ground emplacements. Click-clack, you still with me back there? The Geonosian's response was a stream of clicks the translator rendered as, I am experiencing several forms of fear I did not know existed. Yeah, I get that a lot. Hang tight, this is the fun part. Tony accelerated to maximum velocity, the world blurring around him as he closed on the shield generator. TIE fighters pursued, their pilots skilled enough to keep pace. Energy bolts crisscrossed the sky, some passing centimeters from Tony's armor. His HUD tracked trajectories, predicted firing solutions, calculated odds. 73% chance of successful approach. Tony liked those odds. He fired missiles, micro-munitions that streaked ahead trailing white contrails. Point defense systems activated, shooting down most of them. But 3 got through, impacting the shield generator in a chain of explosions that lit up Geonosis's rust-colored sky. The shields collapsed with a thunderclap of dissipating energy. Generator down! Tony banked away from the fortress, pursued by every remaining TIE fighter. JARVIS, plot an escape vector that gets us beyond their sensor range. We need to disappear before they bring in capital ships. Calculating optimal trajectory, sir. However, I am detecting an unusual energy signature approaching from... Reality twisted. The air itself seemed to darken, and Tony's sensors went haywire, detecting something that shouldn't exist. Organic energy, focused will, intention made manifest. A figure in black robes appeared on a landing platform below, one arm extended toward the sky, toward Tony. And suddenly, his armor stopped responding. The repulsors cut out. The arc reactor remained active, but the connection between power source and systems severed, as if by invisible hands. Tony began falling. Click, clack, screaming in his ear. What the? JARVIS, what's happening? Unknown interference, sir. Some form of electromagnetic manipulation, but the source is... it's biological. The robed figure below is generating the effect. Tony plummeted 300 meters before his systems reconnected. He reignited repulsors at the last possible second, pulling up hard enough to leave crater marks in the fortress's outer wall. Below, the robed figure watched with what Tony's sensors identified as extreme interest. Sir, that individual matches Imperial files designated Inquisitor, 4 sensitive operatives tasked with hunting Jedi survivors. Extremely dangerous. You think? Tony gained altitude, but felt that invisible pressure again, like someone trying to crush his armor with sheer will. How are they doing this? The Force appears to be a form of unified field manipulation through conscious intent. It should not be possible, yet... I don't need the physics lecture. I need countermeasures. Tony's mind raced. The arc reactor was mechanical, but his neural interface responded to thought. If this force worked by manipulating matter directly, he compartmentalized, isolated systems, created redundancies, made it so no single point of control could disable his entire suit. The Inquisitor's pressure increased, but Tony's armor remained responsive. Clever, Tony muttered. But you're trying to force your will on technology you don't understand. And I spent 3 years making sure no one could hijack my suits. Not governments, not AIs, and definitely not space wizards with control issues. He fired a repulsor beam at the Inquisitor. The figure deflected it with a wave, literally bending the energy around them. Tony's eyes widened behind his faceplate. Okay, that's new. And terrifying. And we're leaving, now. Tony hit maximum thrust, tearing away from the fortress with click-clack holding on for dear life. The TIE fighters pursued, the Inquisitor's presence receded, and Geonosis's barren surface blurred below as they escaped into the Badlands. JARVIS, tell me you found a safe landing site. Affirmative. Abandoned droid foundry, 15 kilometers northeast. Minimal Imperial presence. However, sir, save it. We're going dark for a few hours while I figure out what the hell just happened and where we're supposed to deliver our VIP. They disappeared into the rust-colored canyons, leaving Imperial Security Complex RX-7 in chaos, its shields down, its prisoner escaped, and its personnel scrambling to explain how one armored intruder had accomplished the impossible. In his armor, Tony Stark's mind was already working 3 steps ahead. He'd come to this galaxy for an extraction mission. But something told him he'd just started something much bigger. The abandoned droid foundry was a tomb of rust and silence. Massive assembly lines stood frozen mid-production, skeletal arms reaching toward nothing. Conveyor belts disappeared into darkness. The walls were honeycombed with chambers where Geonosian workers had once lived, now empty save for the wind whistling through cracks in the stone. Tony sat down in the deepest chamber, his armor's running lights the only illumination in the cavernous space. Click-clack immediately collapsed, all 4 arms trembling, wings buzzing erratically. Easy, easy, Tony said, his faceplate retracting. We're clear. No Imperials followed us. I had JARVIS running counter-surveillance the entire flight. He knelt beside the Geonosian, studying the insectoid features with genuine curiosity. You okay? That was a lot for anyone's first rescue operation. Click-clack's compound eyes focused on Tony, clicks and chirps translating through the armor's systems. You destroyed Imperial facility, fought their warriors, escaped the Inquisitor. You are not from this galaxy. Got it in 1. Tony stood, running diagnostics on his suit. The Inquisitor's attempt to shut him down had left no damage, but the implications were staggering. JARVIS, full analysis of what that robed guy did to us. I need to understand how biological entities manipulate electromagnetic fields through willpower alone. Compiling data now, sir. However, the phenomenon defies conventional physics. The individual appeared to exert direct influence over matter without any technological intermediary. Based on intercepted Imperial communications, this ability is called the Force, a form of energy field that permeates all living things. Living things. Tony paced the chamber, mind racing. So, it's biologically interfaced. That's why it could affect my armor's mechanical systems, but struggled with my neural link. There's a human consciousness buffer protecting the interface. He looked at Click-Clack. These Force users, Inquisitors, Jedi, whatever, they're manipulating some kind of quantum field through organic consciousness. Click-Clack clicked affirmatively. The Force is ancient, mystic. The Jedi were guardians. The Sith were conquerors. Now the Empire hunts those who remain. The Inquisitors serve the Emperor, Sith Lord who destroyed the Republic and created this tyranny. Sith Lord Emperor, of course. Tony sat on a deactivated assembly platform, the weight of the situation settling in. Okay, so I'm in a galaxy ruled by an evil space wizard who commands an army of stormtroopers and has personal assassins who can crush starships with their minds. Great. Just great. He looked at Click-Clack. And you? What makes you so valuable that someone in another dimension sent me specifically to rescue you? The Geonosian's wings folded defensively. I am engineer. Before the Empire, I designed manufacturing systems, droids, weapons. The Battle of Geonosis, the first battle of the Clone Wars, it began on my world. We built the Separatist battle droids, millions of them. His voice, the translation, carried shame. My people paid the price. The Empire came. They took our knowledge, killed most of us, kept me alive to build their weapons. And you refused. I refused. So they imprisoned me, scheduled my execution. Click-Clack's eyes reflected Tony's arc reactor light. Why did you save me? Who sent you? Tony pulled up the dimensional data JARVIS had extracted from their arrival. It was fragmentary, incomplete, like a message written in quantum foam, barely comprehensible. But there were patterns, coordinates, a biological signature matching Click-Clack. And something else? A symbol he didn't recognize, but which his suit's pattern-matching algorithms identified from intercepted transmissions. The symbol of the Rebel Alliance. Looks like your friends in the rebellion figured out how to send a message across dimensional barriers, Tony said slowly. They couldn't get you out themselves, so they reached out to anyone who could help. He smiled. And they got Iron Man. Could have been worse. They could have gotten Spider-Man. Kid's great, but he talks too much. Rebellion? Click-Clack's wings buzzed hopefully. You know the rebellion? I know they're fighting the Empire. Beyond that, I'm new here. Tony stood, armor systems fully restored. But here's the thing. I don't leave jobs half finished. Someone went to a lot of trouble to bring me here and point me at you. So I'm going to deliver you somewhere safe. Somewhere you can use that engineering genius for something other than Imperial weapons. JARVIS. Any idea where the nearest rebel cell might be? Analyzing intercepted communications, sir. There are references to rebel activity in the Gordian Reach sector, approximately 3 hyperspace jumps from our current location. However, accessing hyperspace lanes requires a functioning hyperdrive, which my suit doesn't have because Earth hasn't figured out faster than light travel yet. Tony frowned. We need a ship. Click-Clack clicked rapidly, gesturing toward the foundry's upper levels. There is a facility, Imperial Supply Depot, 20 kilometers north. They have transports, shuttles, ships capable of hyperspace travel. So we steal an Imperial shuttle. Tony's smile was predatory. I like it. High risk, high reward. And it gives me a chance to test some theories about how my repulsors interact with their plasma weapons. He paused, studying the Geonosian. But first, I need to know. Can you pilot one of their ships? I designed navigation systems for multi-system craft. I can pilot anything. Perfect. Tony's faceplate sealed shut, the HUD lighting up with tactical planning displays. Here's the play. We hit the depot fast, grab a shuttle, and disappear before they can scramble TIE fighters. JARVIS will handle electronic warfare, jamming their communications, spoofing their sensors. You'll get us airborne and punch in hyperspace coordinates, and I'll handle anyone who tries to stop us. Click-Clack rose, wings spreading fully for the first time since his rescue. In the glow of Tony's arc reactor, the Geonosian looked less like a prisoner and more like someone remembering what freedom felt like. Why do you help me? He asked again, quieter this time. You are not rebel, not Jedi. You owe this galaxy nothing. Tony was quiet for a moment, remembering a cave in Afghanistan, a box of scraps, a choice to be something more than a weapons merchant. Let's just say I've got experience with people who build prisons and call them order. And I've spent my entire adult life making sure nobody gets to decide someone else's worth based on what they can be forced to build. He extended a gauntleted hand. Come on, we've got a supply depot to rob, and I want to be off this planet before that Inquisitor figures out where we went. Click-Clack grasped Tony's hand with 2 of his 4 arms, a gesture of trust between species separated by dimensional barriers. Then let us give the Empire a story they will not forget, the Geonosian said. Tony grinned behind his faceplate. That's the spirit. JARVIS, plot a route to the supply depot. Maximum stealth until we're ready to make noise. Then we make a lot of noise. They launched into Geonosis's dim sky. Two unlikely allies, united by circumstance and a shared determination to defy tyranny. Behind them, the foundry returned to silence. Ahead, an Imperial supply depot continued its routine operations, unaware that something wearing festive red and white armor was about to ruin their entire day. 20 kilometers north, the depot sprawled across a reinforced landing field. Prefabricated structures arranged in defensive perimeter, cargo vessels loading supplies, Imperial personnel moving between warehouses. Security was tight but routine, focused on external threats and manifest verification. They weren't expecting someone to drop from the sky at terminal velocity. Tony descended through cloud cover, using Geonosis's rust-colored atmosphere as camouflage. His stealth systems rendered him nearly invisible. Just another heat signature among thousands. Click-clack clung to his back, wings folded tight, trusting the strange armored human with his life. JARVIS, target assessment. Depot houses approximately 300 personnel. Defensive systems include automated turrets, patrol droids, and a garrison of 60 stormtroopers. Current hangar inventory shows 4 Lambda-class shuttles, 12 cargo transports, and 2 TIE fighter squadrons. Optimal target, Lambda shuttle in Hangar Bay 3, fully fueled, minimal security presence. Lambda shuttle it is. Tony adjusted his approach, angling toward the specified hangar. How long until we're detected? Unknown, sir. However, Imperial Command is still processing the security breach at Alrec 7. Their attention is divided. Good. Let's keep them confused. Tony touched down on the hangar's roof, silent as a shadow. Through the Dura-steel plating, his sensors detected movement below. Mechanics servicing vessels, officers reviewing manifests, security droids on patrol routes. Click-clack. When I give the signal, you run for that shuttle. Don't stop. Don't look back. Get aboard, start the engines, and prep for immediate departure. I'll buy you time. You will fight alone? I work best alone. Trust me. Tony's armor shifted from stealth configuration to full combat mode. Red and white blazing bright, weapon systems armed and ready. JARVIS, on my mark, kill their communications. I want this depot completely cut off for the next 5 minutes. Standing by, sir. Tony took a breath, feeling the familiar pre-mission adrenaline surge. This wasn't the first military installation he'd infiltrated, probably wouldn't be the last. And regardless of what galaxy he found himself in, some principles remained constant. Hit hard, move fast, and never let them see you coming until it's too late. Mark. Every communication system in the depot died simultaneously. Radios went silent. Data transmission stopped. Even the automated security alerts stuttered and failed as JARVIS flooded their networks with corrupted code. For 30 seconds, the depot existed in confused isolation, personnel scrambling to understand what happened. Then Tony dropped through the hangar roof. He crashed through in an explosion of metal and sparks, landing between the Lambda shuttle and a squad of startled stormtroopers. His arrival was theatrical, dramatic, and absolutely calculated to draw every eye in the facility. "Evening, gentlemen," Tony announced, his voice amplified through external speakers. "I'm here to borrow a shuttle. You can either stand aside and let me take it, or we can do this the hard way. Your choice, but I should warn you, I really prefer the hard way." The stormtroopers opened fire. Tony smiled. Time to work. Plasma bolts filled the hangar in a storm of blue energy. Tony's repulsors flared, generating kinetic barriers that scattered the incoming fire like rain on glass. He counted 12 stormtroopers in the immediate area, more pouring in from adjacent corridors. Good. The more attention on him, the easier Click-Clack's escape. Go! Tony shouted at the Geonosian, who sprinted toward the Lambda shuttle on all four arms, wings buzzing for extra speed. Tony stepped forward, drawing fire deliberately. JARVIS, non-lethal suppression. Let's show them how Earth handles riot control. His chest reactor pulsed. Concentric rings of force exploded outward, a kinetic shockwave calibrated to incapacitate without killing. Stormtroopers flew backward, their armor absorbing the impact, but leaving them stunned and disoriented on the hangar floor. More troops rushed in to replace them. Tony shifted tactics. His left gauntlet fired micro-repulsor bursts, precision shots that knocked rifles from hands, disabled helmet systems, and generally made being a stormtrooper extremely unpleasant without causing permanent harm. He moved through the hangar like a dancer, his armor's enhanced reflexes and JARVIS's tactical predictions keeping him 3 steps ahead of their coordinated fire. Sir, Lambda shuttle engines powering up, JARVIS reported. Click-Clack has successfully accessed flight controls. Estimate 30 seconds until departure readiness. Then I need to hold for 30 seconds. Tony spotted automated turrets activating along the hangar's perimeter, heavier weapons less concerned with collateral damage. JIRVIS, countermeasures on those turrets. I don't want them getting a clean shot at our ride. Deploying electronic warfare suite. The turret swiveled toward Tony, targeting lasers painting his armor, then suddenly spun wildly, tracking phantom targets as JARVIS fed them corrupted sensor data. They fired at empty air, at their own support structures, at anything except what they were supposed to hit. Imperial personnel scrambled to override the systems manually. Tony used the chaos to advance on the shuttle. More stormtroopers appeared, a full platoon, moving with better coordination. An officer barked orders from behind armored cover, directing his troops in overlapping fire patterns designed to pin down a single target. Adaptive tactics, Tony noted with approval. Somebody here actually knows what they're doing. His HUD identified the officer, ranked insignia, tactical data pad, posture indicating command experience. JARVIS, flashbang protocol. Let's reset the tactical situation. His armor emitted a pulse of brilliant white light combined with a sonic burst calibrated to disrupt human hearing and vision. The stormtroopers reeled, temporarily blinded and deafened. Tony closed the distance to the shuttle in 3 repulsor-assisted leaps, landing on its boarding ramp just as Click-Clack fired up the engines. "We're clear," the Geonosian shouted over the engine roar. "Get inside." Tony turned back toward the hangar, where Imperial personnel were recovering, regrouping, and, he noticed with concern, sealing the massive blast doors that separated them from open sky. JARVIS, can this shuttle punch through closed hangar doors? Negative, sir. Lambda-class vessels lack sufficient forward firepower for breach operations. Then we're opening those doors ourselves. Tony's targeting system locked onto the blast door mechanism, hydraulics, power couplings, control systems. Click-Clack, get us airborne. I'll handle the door. The shuttle lifted off with a whine of repulsor lifts. Tony leaped from the ramp, firing his own repulsors to maintain altitude as the vessel ascended. Below, stormtroopers renewed their assault, plasma bolts tracking both Tony and the shuttle. The blast doors continued closing, now only 3 meters from sealing completely. Tony's hands came together, arc reactor channeling maximum power to his gauntlets. Twin beams of concentrated energy lanced out, repulsor technology pushed to absolute limits, carving through the blast door mechanism like a plasma torch through paper. Metal shrieked. Hydraulics exploded in showers of pressurized fluid. The doors shuddered, stopped, then began reversing as their control systems failed catastrophically. Doors opening. Tony accelerated upward, matching the shuttle's ascent. Behind him, the hangar was chaos. Alarms wailing, personnel scrambling, the depot's commander screaming orders into non-functional communications equipment. JARVIS, how long until their jamming breaks? Approximately 90 seconds, sir. Imperial technicians are isolating my intrusion code. Once communications restore, they will scramble TIE fighters from every base in range. Tony reached the shuttle's boarding ramp, magnetic systems in his boots locking onto the hull. He pulled himself inside, the ramp ceiling behind him. Click-clack sat in the pilot's seat, four arms dancing across unfamiliar controls with the confidence of someone who understood the underlying principles. How's she handle? Tony asked, moving to the co-pilot station. Crude, inefficient. The Empire prioritizes mass production over performance optimization. Click-clack pulled the shuttle into a steep climb, Geonosis' surface falling away below. But functional. We will reach orbital insertion in 45 seconds. Tony's sensors painted a grim picture of the space above them. The Star Destroyer he'd seen earlier still hung in orbit, its massive bulk blocking entire sectors of the sky. Smaller vessels patrolled established routes. Custom ships, patrol craft, automated defense platforms. And somewhere up there, Imperial Command was surely scrambling interceptors. JARVIS. What's our tactical situation? 72 Imperial vessels within sensor range. The Star Destroyer, relentless, maintains blockade position. TIE fighter squadrons launching from surface bases. Estimate 4 minutes until we reach hyperspace jump distance, assuming we survive the intervening gauntlet. 4 minutes. Tony strapped into the co-pilot seat, his armor's neural interface linking seamlessly with the shuttle's targeting computers. Imperial technology was primitive compared to Stark systems, but functional enough. Click-clack. Can you plot a hyperspace jump to these rebel coordinates while avoiding everything that's about to shoot at us? Yes. But the Navy computer requires 3 minutes of uninterrupted calculation for safe jump coordinates. So we need to stay alive and unexploded for 3 minutes in hostile space. Tony's hands moved across the controls, bringing the shuttle's weapons online. Twin laser cannons, woefully inadequate, but better than nothing. I've had worse Tuesdays. They breached the atmosphere in a cocoon of friction-heated air, emerging into the black of space. Immediately, Tony's sensors screamed warnings. TIE fighters, dozens of them, converged from multiple vectors. The Star Destroyer's tractor beams reached out like invisible hands, trying to snare their shuttle. Evasive! Tony called out unnecessarily. Click-clack was already throwing the shuttle into a corkscrewing dive that nearly tore the vessel apart. The tractor beams passed through empty space where they'd been moments before. Plasma bolts filled the void. TIE fighters attacked in waves, their distinctive screeching engines audible even through vacuum-rated hull plating. Tony returned fire, his targeting enhanced by JARVIS predictive algorithms. The shuttle's laser cannons might be weak, but precisely placed shots still counted. One TIE fighter exploded when Tony's shot penetrated its unshielded cockpit. Another spun out of control, its wings sheared off. 2 minutes until hyperspace calculations complete, Click-clack announced, his voice remarkably calm for someone flying through a space battle. We must avoid the Star Destroyer's engagement range. Their turbo lasers will destroy us in one shot. Tony glanced at the tactical display. The Relentless was adjusting its position, trying to box them in. More TIE fighters launched from its hangars. The Empire had apparently decided this stolen shuttle was worth significant resources. They're really committed to getting us back, Tony observed, destroying another fighter with a well-placed shot. JARVES. Why are they throwing this much force at one shuttle? Unknown, sir. However, I am detecting unusual communications chatter referencing the unauthorized force sensitive from RX-7. They appear to believe you are more than a simple thief. The Inquisitor. Tony's jaw tightened. They think I'm some kind of force user, so they're treating this like a Jedi hunt. He looked at his arc reactor, glowing steady blue in the cockpit's dimness. Which means they're not going to let us just fly away. 90 seconds, Click-Clack reported, banking hard to avoid a turbo laser barrage from a pursuing Corvette. We need distance from Imperial vessels before initiating hyperspace jump. Tony made a decision. Click-Clack, when I say now, you punch that hyperspace drive. Don't wait for me. Don't look back. Get to the rebels. Tell them what happened. And make sure that engineering genius of yours builds something that helps take down the Empire. The Geonosian's compound eyes swiveled toward Tony. What are you? I'm buying you time. Tony unsealed his restraints, standing in the shuttle's cramped interior. JARVES, slave shuttle controls to Click-Clack's station. He's flying solo from here. Sir, this is inadvisable. Your armor lacks hyperspace capability. If you exit this vessel, I'll handle the TIE fighters and give our friend a clear escape vector. Then I'll figure out my own exit strategy. Tony moved to the airlock, his armor sealing completely against vacuum. It's what I do best. Improvise, adapt, and generally annoy fascists. You will die, Click-Clack said flatly. Probably. But I've got an arc reactor that shouldn't exist, armor that bends physics, and absolutely zero intention of letting the Empire win. Tony cycled the airlock, feeling the pressure drop as atmosphere vented. Besides, I didn't come to this galaxy to hide in a stolen shuttle. I came to extract a VIP and... He paused, grinning. Apparently to become this Empire's most wanted. Might as well commit to the bit. 30 seconds to hyperspace. JARVES reported. Tony stepped into the airlock. Click-Clack, build something amazing. Make them regret ever locking you up. The Geonosian's wings buzzed in what might have been a laugh or a sob. I will remember you, Tony Stark of Earth. Don't remember. Survive. Tony opened the outer door. Space reached for him with infinite cold. Now go. Jump. Get out of here. He launched himself into the void. Behind him, the Lambda shuttle's hyperdrive engaged with a flash of pseudo-motion. And Click-Clack disappeared into faster-than-light speeds, carrying Imperial secrets and hope for the rebellion. Tony floated alone in the vacuum, surrounded by 30 TIE fighters and one very angry Star Destroyer. His arc reactor burned bright against the darkness. All right, Tony said to the Empire's finest. Who wants to dance with Santa Claus? Space combat without a ship should have been suicide. Tony Stark made it look like performance art. The TIE fighters converged, green plasma bolts crisscrossing the void in patterns meant to catch anything that moved. Tony moved differently, repulsor-driven trajectory changes that defied conventional physics, accelerations that would paste an unprotected pilot against their cockpit walls. His armor's inertial dampening systems handled the impossible G-forces, while JARVES calculated firing solutions faster than any Imperial targeting computer. Tony's right palm fired. The repulsor beam caught a TIE fighter's cockpit dead center, the concentrated energy punching through viewport transparent steel and frying the control systems. The fighter spiraled away, a frozen tomb tumbling through the black. 29 to go, Tony muttered, twisting through return fire. His HUD tracked every hostile, every plasma bolt, every tactical option in a three-dimensional combat space. JARVIS, Power Distribution Analysis. How long can we sustain combat operations in vacuum? Arc reactor output remains stable at 100%. However, ammunition for micro-missiles is limited to current payload. Estimate 15 minutes of sustained combat before resorting to repulsors exclusively. 15 minutes against 30 fighters and a Star Destroyer. Not great odds. But Tony had worked with worse. He activated his boot repulsors, rocketing toward the nearest TIE fighter at speeds that made him effectively invisible to human reflexes. The Imperial pilot fired where Tony had been, not where he was going. Tony passed within meters of the cockpit, close enough to see the pilot's shocked expression through the viewport, and fired a repulsor burst into the fighter's main engine coupling. The TIE detonated in silent brilliance, its fuel reserves igniting in a sphere of superheated gas. 28. The remaining fighters adjusted tactics, spreading out, creating overlapping fields of fire, forcing Tony to choose between threats. Sophisticated for pilots, he'd initially dismissed as garrison troops. Someone in that formation knew what they were doing. Tony identified the threat, a TIE fighter hanging back, directing others with subtle positioning changes. The squadron leader coordinating the attack. Take him out, and the formation would collapse into chaos. JARVIS, plot intercept course on that lead fighter. I'm going to explain why fighting someone with three-dimensional mobility is a bad tactical choice. Tony accelerated, repulsors blazing. Plasma bolts tracked his trajectory. The leader had predicted his move. Smart. Tony jinked left, then down, then executed a maneuver impossible for any ship with conventional thrust. A complete 180 reversal at full speed, his inertial dampeners screaming in protest. He came at the fighters from behind, where their weapons couldn't track. 3 repulsor shots, 3 explosions. The formation scattered, discipline breaking as pilots realized their defensive position had become a killing field. Tony pressed the advantage, moving through the chaos like a shark through confused prey. His HUD flashed crimson warnings. The Star Destroyer's turbo lasers had acquired targeting lock. Sir, recommend immediate evasive action. Capital ship weapons will... The sky turned green. Massive energy bolts, each one carrying enough power to vaporize a city block, converged on Tony's position. He pushed his repulsors to maximum output, diving toward Geonosis's gravity well. The turbo laser fire passed through space he'd occupied milliseconds before, close enough that his armor's hull plating registered heat bloom. Okay, Flying Brick is definitely paying attention now. Tony gasped, his heart hammering. JARVIS, I need tactical options that don't involve becoming a cloud of ionized particles. The Star Destroyer's weapons are powerful but slow to retarget. Recommend extreme evasive patterns combined with, Sir, detecting anomalous energy signature approaching from planetary surface. Tony's sensors painted the contact. A single craft, smaller than the TIE fighters, moving at velocities that shouldn't be possible for Imperial technology. Its energy signature matched nothing in JARVIS's database, and it was heading directly for his position. The craft resolved through magnification, sleek, angular, painted in dark colors and emanating that same impossible energy signature Tony had felt from the Inquisitor. The Force user, Tony realized. They sent their space wizard after me personally. Multiple Force users, sir. I am detecting 3 distinct biological signatures aboard that vessel. 3 Inquisitors. Coming for the anomaly that had embarrassed the Empire, freed a high-value prisoner, and demonstrated abilities that defied their understanding of the Force. Tony assessed his situation. 25 TIE fighters reforming attack patterns, 1 Star Destroyer with weapons hot, and 3 Inquisitors who could apparently manipulate matter with their minds. His armor was at full power, but fighting Force users in open space while dodging capital ship weapons wasn't a winning strategy. He needed to change the battlefield. JARVIS. What's between me and that Star Destroyer? Approximately 8 kilometers of vacuum, 12 TIE fighters, and certain death if you approach within turbo laser range. Perfect. Plot a course directly at the Relentless's bridge, maximum velocity. Sir, that is suicidal. That's the idea. They won't expect it. Tony oriented toward the massive warship, its wedge-shaped hull filling his vision like a steel mountain. The one thing these Imperials understand is overwhelming force. So let's see how they handle someone who turns their own doctrine against them. He accelerated, not evasively, not tactically, just raw, maximum thrust acceleration directly at the Star Destroyer's command tower. His speed climbed past anything the TIE fighters could match. The Inquisitor craft tried to intercept, but Tony was moving too fast, trajectory too committed. Turbo lasers fired. Tony didn't dodge. Instead, he timed his micro-adjustments to thread between the massive energy bolts, using their own firing pattern as cover. It was insane. It was impossible. It worked. The Star Destroyer's bridge loomed closer. Viewports, sensor arrays, the command staff visible through transparent steel as tiny figures scrambling to respond to a lunatic flying directly at them. At the last possible second, Tony pulled up, skimming within meters of the bridge tower. He fired repulsors at point-blank range, not at the command structure itself, but at the sensor arrays and communication dishes clustered around it. Delicate equipment exploded in cascades of sparks and shrapnel. "Merry Christmas from Earth," Tony snarled, completing his strafing run across the Star Destroyer's superstructure. Behind him, the mighty warship was effectively blind, its long-range sensors destroyed, its communications disrupted. The TIE fighters didn't fire. Their own capital ship was directly in the line of fire. The Inquisitor craft hesitated, presumably its occupants unwilling to damage Imperial property. Tony used those precious seconds to put distance between himself and the fleet, diving back toward Geonosis's atmosphere. His armor heated from friction as he hit the upper atmosphere at velocities meant for heat-shielded re-entry vehicles. "Sir, the Inquisitor vessel is pursuing. They are..." JARVIS paused. "Sir, they are matching our speed and trajectory despite lacking visible propulsion systems." Tony glanced back. The craft followed him into re-entry, but around it, the air itself seemed apart. Friction heat deflecting away, as if repelled by invisible force. They're using the Force as a shield, Tony realized. That's actually brilliant and terrifying. Mostly terrifying. He punched through the cloud layer, Geonosis's rust-colored landscape rushing up to meet him. Canyon systems carved by ancient water flows provided cover. Narrow passages where larger craft couldn't follow. Tony dove into the labyrinth, repulsors screaming as he banked through turns at impossible angles. The Inquisitor craft stayed with him, impossibly maneuverable, as if the pilot knew where Tony would go before he decided. Precognition, JARVIS noted. They appear capable of predicting your flight path through force sensitivity. Then I'll just have to not know where I'm going. Tony let his conscious mind release control, relying on split-second instinct and reaction time enhanced by his neural interface. He became unpredictable because even he didn't know his next move until executing it. The canyons blurred past. The Inquisitor craft dropped back slightly, its precognitive advantage diminished by Tony's adaptive chaos. But they were still there, still pursuing, and eventually Tony would run out of planet to fly through. He needed a plan. Something the Empire wouldn't expect, something that would... His sensors detected it. The abandoned droid foundry where he and Click-Clack had hidden earlier. Massive, labyrinthine, filled with machinery and enclosed spaces where the Inquisitor's ship couldn't follow. JRVIS, I'm taking us into that foundry. Once we're inside, full countermeasures, jamming, false signatures, everything. I want them to lose us in the sensor clutter. Acknowledged. However, sir, we cannot remain hidden indefinitely. Don't need indefinitely. Just need enough time to figure out how to fight space wizards who can predict my moves and crush my armor with their minds. Tony angled toward the foundry's main entrance, a cathedral-sized opening leading into darkness. Because right now, I'm winging it, and that's never great long-term strategy. He plunged into the foundry's depths, his running lights the only illumination in corridors that had sat dark for years. Behind him, the Inquisitor craft hovered at the entrance, its occupants surely sensing their quarry within. Then the craft landed. The boarding ramp extended. 3 figures emerged, black robes stark against Geonosis's crimson dust. Each carried a weapon Tony recognized from his intelligence gathering. Lightsabers. Plasma blades contained in magnetic fields, capable of cutting through nearly anything. The lead Inquisitor ignited their weapon. Red light bathed the foundry entrance, casting long shadows into the depths where Tony waited. You cannot hide from the Force, a voice called out, amplified through a respirator. Your presence burns like a beacon. Surrender, and the Emperor may grant you purpose. Resist, and we will take you as a trophy. Tony stood in the darkness, his arc reactor's glow reflected in ancient assembly line machinery. His armor's weapons armed. His mind calculated odds, assessed threats, formulated strategies. 3 Force users with precognition, telekinesis, and weapons that could cut through his armor. 1 engineer from Earth with a really expensive suit and deep-seated issues with authority. JRVIS, Tony said quietly. Remember when I said I prefer the hard way? Yes, sir. I may have been premature. This is the hard way. The Inquisitors advanced into the foundry, red lightsabers casting dancing shadows. Tony stepped from cover, arc reactor blazing like a star against his crimson chest. Let's educate some space wizards about Earth technology. The first Inquisitor moved with impossible speed, not running, but gliding across the foundry floor as if gravity were optional. Their lightsaber carved red arcs through the darkness, seeking Tony with the kind of precision that spoke of precognitive awareness. Tony fired a repulsor blast. The Inquisitor deflected it with their blade, the energy scattering harmlessly against the walls. Of course they could do that. JARVIS, tactical analysis. How do I fight someone who knows what I'm going to do before I do it? Uncertain, sir. However, their precognition appears to function through force sensitivity, sensing intent and future probability. Recommend eliminating conscious decision-making from combat response. So I need to stop thinking and just react. Tony's neural interface shifted to pure reflex mode. letting his armor's AI-enhanced responses guide him instead of conscious thought. That's either genius or a great way to get killed. Let's find out which. The second Inquisitor attacked from his blind side, lightsaber sweeping in a decapitation strike. Tony's armor responded before his conscious mind registered the threat, repulsors firing him sideways in a burst of movement he hadn't planned. The lightsaber passed through empty space, close enough that his sensors registered the plasma blade's heat signature. Adaptive reflex patterns engaged, JARVIS reported. However, sir, they are adjusting to your response timing. The third Inquisitor extended a hand. Tony felt that invisible pressure again, the Force trying to crush his armor, seeking purchase on the mechanical systems. But his suit's compartmentalized architecture resisted. No single point of control for the Force to manipulate. "You are not Jedi," the lead Inquisitor said, their voice distorted by the respirator mask. "Not Sith. Your power feels wrong, mechanical, lifeless." They circled Tony like a predator studying prey. "What are you?" "I'm the guy who's going to teach you that not everything in the universe bends to your magic tricks." Tony fired his micro-missiles, 6 projectiles streaking through the foundry on independent guidance systems. The Inquisitors moved in perfect coordination, their lightsabers becoming a web of red light that intercepted and detonated every missile before impact. But Tony wasn't trying to hit them. He was buying time to analyze their combat patterns, their response speeds, their limitations. JARVIS recorded everything: the way they moved, the rhythm of their attacks, the split-second delays in their precognitive responses. "Sir, I am detecting a pattern. Their Force precognition appears strongest against biological opponents making conscious decisions. Your neural interface creates a response delay they struggle to predict accurately. So my cyborg brain is confusing their space magic." Tony smiled behind his faceplate. "I can work with that." He activated every offensive system simultaneously: repulsors, lasers, sonic disruptors, flashbangs, and kinetic projectiles. The attack was overwhelming, omnidirectional, and completely divorced from strategic thinking, pure technological violence. The Inquisitors scattered, their formation breaking as they deflected or dodged the barrage. One took a glancing repulsor hit, staggering backward with their robes scorched. Another's respirator shattered from a sonic pulse, forcing them to rely on the Force to filter Geonosis's thin atmosphere. But they adapted quickly. The lead Inquisitor raised both hands, and the Force responded in ways Tony's sensors struggled to quantify. The air itself thickened, becoming almost solid. His repulsors lost efficiency, pushing against resistance that shouldn't exist. "They are manipulating atmospheric density around your position," JARVIS reported, "effectively creating localized drag that reduces your mobility advantage." Tony's mind raced. They were learning his capabilities, adapting their tactics. The longer this fight continued, the more his technological advantage eroded against opponents who could bend physics through sheer willpower. He needed to change the engagement parameters. JARVIS, structural analysis of this foundry. Where are the weak points? Multiple support columns show stress fractures from years of neglect. The assembly line suspended above us carries approximately 800 tons of dormant machinery. "Sir, are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting we bring the roof down." Tony targeted the weakened support structures, his HUD painting trajectory predictions. "Give them something too big to deflect with lightsabers." He fired concentrated repulsor beams at the columns. Metal shrieked. Fractures propagated through durasteel already weakened by time and neglect. The Inquisitors sensed the danger. Their attention split between Tony and the catastrophic structural failure developing above them. The ceiling collapsed in a thunder of falling machinery and broken stone. Tony rocketed upward through the debris field. Using the chaos as cover, the Inquisitors weren't so fortunate. Even with force powers, avoiding several tons of falling equipment required their full attention. One was caught by a falling assembly arm, pinned beneath metal that would have crushed a normal human. They lived, protected by the Force, but effectively removed from combat. 2 opponents remaining. Tony burst through the Foundry's upper levels into open air, the Inquisitors pursuing seconds behind. Their ship sat on the landing pad, sleek, powerful, and currently unguarded. New objective? Tony announced, changing direction mid-flight. We're stealing their ride. Sir, we lack knowledge of Imperial vessel control systems. Then we'll learn fast. Click, clack got his shuttle flying in under 30 seconds. How hard can it be? He landed on the Inquisitor craft's hull, searching for an access point. The vessel's design was elegant but functional. Viewports, sensor arrays, and there, an emergency access hatch meant for vacuum-based hull repairs. Tony's repulsor carved through the locking mechanism. The hatch blew inward, atmosphere venting briefly before internal systems compensated. He dropped inside just as the 2 remaining Inquisitors reached the ship. The interior was cramped, designed for maybe 4 occupants maximum. Control stations glowed with unfamiliar readouts, but the basic principle remained universal. Ship controls weren't that different across galaxies. Thrust, navigation, weapons, life support. JARVIS, interface with the ship's systems. I need flight capability in the next 10 seconds, or this becomes a very expensive coffin. Working, sir. Imperial security protocols are surprisingly basic. Accessing now. The Inquisitors landed on the hull above. Tony felt that force pressure again, focused and angry, trying to crush the ship's control systems. He rerouted power frantically, creating redundancies, keeping critical systems operational through sheer technological stubbornness. Outside, one Inquisitor ignited their lightsaber and began cutting through the hull. Red light appeared above Tony's head as superheated metal dripped into the cockpit. The plasma blade carved a circle, precise and methodical. In seconds, they'd have a direct line to him. JARVIS, we need thrust now. Engines online. Tony slammed controls he barely understood. The Inquisitor craft's engines roared to life with a sound unlike anything from Earth. Not rocket propulsion, but something else. Ion drives or repulsor lift technology operating on principles he'd need weeks to fully comprehend. The ship launched vertically at acceleration that nearly knocked Tony unconscious, despite his armor's inertial dampening. The Inquisitor cutting through the hull was thrown clear, tumbling through the air. The second Inquisitor leaped impossibly high, landing on the ship's wing and beginning to carve through external plating. We've got a hitchhiker, Tony noted, pulling the ship into a violent barrel roll. The Inquisitor held on through force adhesion or sheer determination, possibly both. JARVIS, weapon systems? Online but limited. This vessel prioritizes speed and stealth over armament. Tony angled towards the nearest canyon system, flying low and fast. The Inquisitor on the wing continued cutting, their lightsaber burning through armor plating designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts. Alarms wailed as hull integrity dropped. Okay, if I can't shake them, I'll scrape them off. Tony spotted what he needed. A narrow canyon passage, maybe 5 meters wide at the mouth. The ship's wingspan was easily 8 meters. Sir, we will not fit through that gap. The ship won't, but our passenger definitely won't. Tony aimed for the canyon, maintaining speed that turned everything outside into a blur. The Inquisitor on the wing sensed the danger, but couldn't abandon their position without falling to certain death. They chose poorly. The ship's wing clipped the canyon wall at 300 kilometers per hour. The Inquisitor had 1 second to decide between releasing their grip or being smeared across ancient rock. They chose survival, leaping clear and using the force to cushion a landing that should have been lethal. Tony's stolen ship, now missing half a wing, spiraled out of control. Compensating, JARVIS fought the damaged vessel's trajectory using asymmetric thrust to maintain something resembling controlled flight. Sir, we are losing altitude rapidly. Recommend immediate landing. Landing implies we have a choice. Tony wrestled with controls that responded like drunk elephants. The ship was dying, its engines screaming protest, its hull integrity compromised in a dozen places. Find me somewhere we won't become a crater. The foundry appeared ahead, specifically the massive open-air loading dock where Geonosian workers had once received raw materials. It was flat, relatively clear, and about to become their crash site. Tony pointed the dying ship at the dock and killed the engines. They dropped the last 100 meters in what was technically a controlled fall, if controlled, meant screaming and praying to whatever deity might be listening. The impact shattered the remaining landing gear. The ship skidded across the dock in a shower of sparks, spinning wildly, tearing through abandoned cargo containers. Tony's armor absorbed impacts that would have liquefied a normal person. The world became noise and violence, and the smell of burning systems. Then stillness. Tony hung in the pilot's seat, held by restraints he didn't remember fastening. Smoke filled the cockpit. Warning lights painted everything red. His HUD showed armor integrity at 73%, damaged but functional. JARVIS, status report. Are we alive? Affirmative, sir. Though the definition of "we" is generous given the ship's condition. Hull breach in 12 locations, engines completely destroyed. This vessel will never fly again. Tony released the restraints, dropping to the deck. Every system hurt. Even with the armor's protection, that crash had rattled him thoroughly. The Inquisitors? Unknown. However, I am detecting multiple Imperial signals converging on our position. The crash was not subtle. Estimate hostile forces arriving within 5 minutes. 5 minutes before the Empire descended on him with overwhelming force. Tony was battered, his suit damaged, his stolen ship destroyed. The Imperial convoy rolled across Geonosis's Badlands with mechanical precision. 12 armored transports carrying stormtrooper platoons, 4 ATST walkers for fire support, and what Tony's sensors identified as a mobile command center coordinating the operation. They'd come prepared for a siege, expecting to corner a damaged target and overwhelm through numerical superiority. They weren't expecting Tony to attack first. He dove from 2,000 meters, repulsors screaming, moving faster than their targeting systems could track. His left palm fired a concentrated beam that struck the lead transport's engine block, the vehicle exploding in a fireball that sent stormtroopers scattering. The convoy's formation broke as drivers reacted to the unexpected assault from above. JARVIS, Tactical Assessment. What are we looking at? Approximately 200 combatants, 4 heavy walkers, and command-level coordination. Sir, this is a deliberate show of force. They intend to capture you alive if possible, eliminate you if necessary. Then let's make capture really, really difficult. Tony landed between 2 transports, using them as cover from the ATST walkers' weapons. Stormtroopers poured from vehicles, their white armor stark against red dust. They moved with better discipline than the garrison troops he'd fought earlier. These were soldiers who'd seen combat. Tony fired repulsor bursts in rapid succession, targeting weapons rather than soldiers. Rifles exploded in armored hands. Communications equipment sparked and died. He was outgunned 20-1, but he had mobility, technological superiority, and intimate knowledge of how to fight numerically superior forces. An AT-ST Walker stomped toward his position, its chin-mounted cannons swiveling to track him. Tony waited until it fired, twin plasma bolts that would have vaporized him, then jumped, repulsors carrying him onto the Walker's head. He drove his fist through the viewport, his armor's strength augmented by the arc reactor, and fired a pulse directly into the cockpit. The Walker seized, its systems fried. Tony leapt clear as the machine collapsed in a heap of sparking metal. 1 down, 3 to go. But the Empire was learning. The remaining Walkers spread out, creating overlapping fields of fire. Stormtroopers coordinated their assault, laying suppressing fire while heavy weapons teams assembled E-Web blaster emplacements. The Mobile Command Center's officer, Tony could see them through enhanced magnification, directed the battle with cold efficiency. "Sir, this is a delaying action," JARVIS observed. "They are keeping you engaged while additional forces arrive." Tony checked his sensors. JARVIS was right. More contacts approaching from multiple vectors. TIE fighters inbound from orbit. Heavy armor rolling out from Imperial bases. And somewhere behind all of it, that Star Destroyer repositioning itself to bring damaged but still functional weapons to bear. "They're boxing me in." Tony destroyed another transport with a well-placed missile, but 3 more appeared to replace it. Classic overwhelming force doctrine. They don't care about casualties. They just want to pin me down long enough for the real hammer to fall. "Recommend strategic withdrawal, sir." "To where?" "We're on a planet blockaded by a Star Destroyer, surrounded by forces that think I'm a force-sensitive threat to the Empire." Tony blasted through a stormtrooper formation, his movements becoming more desperate as exhaustion began affecting his judgment. The armor compensated, but even with the arc reactor's unlimited power, the man inside had limits. JARVIS, what are our actual options here? The AI was silent for 3 seconds, an eternity in combat time. "Limited, sir. We cannot outrun Imperial forces indefinitely. We cannot fight through a planetary blockade. And we cannot remain hidden while our energy signature remains detectable." An AT-ST Walker scored a direct hit on Tony's right shoulder. The armor held, but the impact sent him tumbling across the desert floor. Before he could recover, a Stormtrooper heavy weapons team opened fire with their E-Web, concentrated plasma bolts hammering his position. Tony's shields flared, distributing the energy, but his armor integrity dropped to 61%. Another hit like that, and systems would start failing. He needed a miracle, or at least a really good idea. Then his sensors detected it, a massive energy signature beneath the surface, hidden in the planet's crust. His HUD analyzed the readings. Ancient technology, dormant but still powered, buried in what remained of the Geonosian hive networks. JARVIS. What am I looking at? Unknown technology, sir. However, the energy signature bears similarities to the hyperdrive systems we encountered on the Lambda shuttle. If I were to speculate, it's an old hyperspace relay or beacon, something the Geonosians used before the Empire occupied the planet. Tony's mind raced. Ancient technology meant it predated Imperial security, which meant it might not be monitored, which meant... Can we reach it? The access tunnels are 300 meters below surface level. We would need to breach through rock and abandoned infrastructure while under fire from Imperial forces. Tony looked at the surrounding convoy, the converging reinforcements, the TIE fighters entering atmosphere. Then he looked at the wrecked Inquisitor ship behind him, its fuel cells still intact despite the crash. JRVS. How big an explosion would that ship make if its fuel cells suffered catastrophic containment failure? Substantial, sir. Approximately equivalent to 4 tons of conventional explosives. And if I shaped that explosion downward, it would create a crater approximately 50 meters deep. Sir, you cannot possibly be considering... Tony fired a repulsor beam at the ground beneath the wrecked ship, carving a cone-shaped depression. Then he overloaded the ship's remaining power systems, setting the fuel cells on a terminal cascade. Everyone might want to step back. Tony shouted to the surrounding Imperials, then rocketed skyward at maximum velocity. The Inquisitor ship exploded with a force that turned night into day. The shaped blast punched downward, vaporizing rock and ancient metal, opening a burning tunnel into Geonosis's depths. Shock waves knocked ATST walkers on their backs and scattered stormtroopers like toys. Tony dove into the crater while it still glowed red-hot, his armor's heat shielding protecting him from temperatures that would melt steel. The tunnel descended at a steep angle, walls smooth from the explosion's force, leading into darkness that his running lights barely penetrated. He dropped 200 meters before hitting solid infrastructure. Ancient Geonosian construction, carved from living rock in the architectural style of a species that thought three-dimensionally. Passages branched in every direction, spiraling up and down and sideways through spaces meant for winged beings. Following energy signature, JARVIS guided him through the labyrinth. Behind them, Tony's sensors detected Imperial forces rappelling into the crater, pursuing with the relentless efficiency he'd come to expect. Sir, I should note that this facility appears to have been deliberately sealed. The Geonosians may have had reasons for abandoning it. Great. Add mysterious sealed alien facility to today's list of bad decisions. Tony navigated through corridors that grew increasingly strange. Walls covered in pictographs showing Geonosians working with technology that looked nothing like Imperial designs, chambers filled with equipment he couldn't identify, and everywhere, that energy signature growing stronger. He emerged into a cathedral-sized chamber. At its center stood a structure that looked like it had been grown rather than built. Organic curves meeting crystalline geometry, pulsing with soft blue light that reminded Tony uncomfortably of his own arc reactor. JARVIS. Analysis. The structure appears to be a hyperspace beacon, but its design predates known Imperial technology by centuries. It is actively transmitting, sir, broadcasting a signal on frequencies Imperial sensors cannot detect. Broadcasting where? Unknown. However, the signal pattern suggests it is responding to another transmission, as if answering a call. Tony approached the structure, his armor sensors drinking in data. The technology was sophisticated beyond anything the Empire possessed. Proof that the Geonosians had once been innovators, creators, engineers who understood principles the galaxy had forgotten. Then his proximity triggered something. The beacon's light intensified, bathing the chamber in brilliant blue. Energy flowed through systems dormant for years. And suddenly, Tony's HUD filled with information, not in any language he knew, but in pure mathematical concepts his neural interface could parse. Coordinates, a destination, and a message, translated through layers of dead languages and extinct protocols. Sanctuary awaits those who defy tyranny. Follow the beacon home. It's a smuggling route. Tony realized. The Geonosians built this for refugees, for people the Empire wanted dead or captured. It's been broadcasting this whole time, waiting for someone who needed it. Behind him, the sound of pursuing stormtroopers echoed through tunnels. They'd be here in minutes. The beacon could save him. Coordinates to some hidden rebel base, perhaps, or a neutral system beyond Imperial reach. But activating it would mean leaving this galaxy entirely, potentially cutting off any chance of return. And something about that bothered Tony more than he wanted to admit. He'd come here for a mission. That mission was complete. Click-clack was safe. So why did leaving feel like quitting? Sir, Imperial forces have breached the outer chambers. We have approximately 90 seconds before... The chamber's entrance exploded inward. But it wasn't stormtroopers who emerged. It was the lead Inquisitor, their armor scorched, their respirator replaced with a crude mask, but their red lightsaber burning as bright as ever. Behind them, dozens of white-armored soldiers took defensive positions. "Your resourcefulness is impressive," the Inquisitor said, their voice carrying across the chamber. "But this ends now. The Emperor has taken personal interest in you, a force-sensitive wielding technology instead of tradition. You will serve the Empire, or you will die. Choose." Tony looked at the Inquisitor, then at the beacon, then at his arc reactor. Still glowing, still at full power, still defiant against impossible odds. JORVIS. If I activate that beacon, where does it send me? Based on coordinate analysis, to a location beyond the Outer Rim. Deep space, potentially rebel territory, potentially uncharted. The only certainty is that Imperial forces cannot follow through this hyperspace route. Escape, safety, survival. Everything the weapons merchant in him said to take. But Tony Stark wasn't just a weapons merchant anymore. He was Iron Man. And Iron Man didn't run from tyrants. "Counteroffer," Tony said to the Inquisitor. "I don't serve, I don't die, and I definitely don't let space wizards tell me what to do." His repulsors powered up, bathing the chamber in white light. "So here's what happens next. I'm going to walk out of here. Your stormtroopers are going to stand down, and your Empire is going to learn that some people don't surrender, no matter how big your fleet gets." The Inquisitor's lightsaber hummed. "Then you choose death. I choose defiance." Tony's HUD painted targets. Every stormtrooper, the Inquisitor, the structural weaknesses in the chamber above. "And I choose to make sure this beacon stays hidden, so the next person who needs it can find sanctuary." He looked directly at the Inquisitor. "Tell your Emperor that Tony Stark isn't afraid of his Empire. And tell him that wherever people build cages, I'll be there to tear them down." Tony fired, not at the Inquisitor, not at the stormtroopers, at the chamber's ceiling. The ancient structure collapsed in thunder and dust. Tons of rock and metal burying the beacon, hiding it from Imperial sensors, preserving its secret for future refugees. Tony rocketed upward through the chaos, using the destruction as cover, emerging from the foundry into Geonosis's crimson sky. TIE fighters converged. The Star Destroyer's damaged sensors struggled to lock on. Ground forces scrambled to intercept. Tony flew straight up, pushing his armor to maximum velocity, climbing towards space and the blockade that waited there. He had no ship, no hyperspace capability, and no realistic way off this planet. But he'd completed his mission. He'd defied the Empire, and he'd proven that even in a galaxy far from home, some principles were worth fighting for. JARVIS, Tony said as the atmosphere thinned around him. "I'm open to suggestions on our exit strategy." "Working on it, sir. However, I should note that I am detecting an unusual energy signature approaching from..." Space tore open. not like a hyperspace arrival. Something else. Something that made Tony's arc reactors spike in sympathetic resonance. A rift in reality itself, crackling with the same dimensional energy that had brought him here. Through it came a ship. Sleek, powerful, painted in colors Tony recognized with shock. Rebel Alliance insignia, and broadcasting on a frequency his suit could decode. Unknown contact. This is General Syndulla of the Rebellion. We tracked your energy signature across half the galaxy. If you're the one who saved Click-Clack, we're here to return the favor. Power down your weapons and prepare for extraction. Tony stared at the ship, then at the pursuing Empire, then laughed, a sound of pure, exhausted relief. Jar Vyas, I think we just made some new friends. The rebel ship's tractor beam reached out, gentle but firm, pulling Tony towards safety as Imperial forces scrambled too late to intercept. The mission was complete, but Tony Stark's time in this galaxy was far from over. The rebel ship's interior was organized chaos. Crew members rushing between stations, droids performing repairs on damaged systems, and at the center of it all, a Twi'lek woman with green skin and a commander's bearing, who looked at Tony like he was simultaneously the answer to her prayers and her most complicated problem. I'm General Hera Syndulla, she said as medics checked Tony over, though his armor made conventional medical assessment impossible. And you've just become the most wanted being in 3 sectors. The Empire's broadcasting your description across every Imperial channel, calling you a rogue, force-sensitive, and threat to galactic stability. Tony's faceplate retracted, revealing a face smudged with soot and exhaustion, but still capable of his trademark smirk. Threat to galactic stability. I've been called worse. He looked around the ship, a vessel clearly modified beyond its original specifications, bristling with weapons and sensor equipment. How did you find me? Click-Clack reached our cell 6 hours ago in a stolen Imperial shuttle, raving about an armored human who single-handedly assaulted an Imperial fortress, fought Inquisitors, and saved his life. Hera's expression softened slightly. He also said you risked everything to get him to safety. The Rebellion doesn't forget debts like that. He made it. Relief washed through Tony, genuine and warm. Good. He's brilliant. Make sure you use that brain for engineering, not weapons production. Already working on it. He's designing shield generators based on principles the Empire doesn't understand. Hera gestured to a viewport showing Geonosis receding behind them as her ship accelerated away from the blockade. The Star Destroyer tried to pursue, but rebel pilots flew evasive patterns that spoke of long experience outrunning Imperial forces. But that brings me to you. Click-Clack says you're not from this galaxy, that your armor uses technology he's never seen, powered by something that isn't the Force, but reads like it to Imperial sensors. Tony glanced at his arc reactor. It's called an arc reactor. Clean fusion energy, Earth engineered. And yeah, I'm definitely not from around here. Your galaxy and mine apparently got their wires crossed through some kind of dimensional accident. Can you get home? The question hung in the air. Tony thought about the dimensional data, the fragmentary information JARVIS had recorded. Maybe, eventually, but not today, and not without understanding how I got here in the first place. He met Hera's eyes, which means I'm stuck in your war until I figure out a way home. Hera studied him for a long moment. The Rebellion could use someone with your skills. Your technology is decades beyond anything the Empire possesses. You fought through forces that should have killed you 3 times over. And according to Click-Clack, you did it all because someone sent you across dimensions to rescue one engineer. She paused. But I need to know, are you committed to this fight? Or are you just looking for a ride until you can leave? Tony thought about the stormtroopers following orders without question. The Inquisitor demanding his surrender or death. The Empire's casual cruelty toward anyone who didn't serve their vision of order. He thought about caves in Afghanistan and choices that defined who he became. General Syndulla, I've spent the last decade of my life fighting people who think power gives them the right to control others. Your empire, emperor, inquisitors, star destroyers, all of it, reminds me of every authoritarian regime I've ever opposed. He tapped his arc reactor. This doesn't just power my armor. It's a reminder that I chose to be more than what people expected. So, yeah, I'm committed. Until I figure out how to get home, consider me an honorary rebel. A smile crossed Hera's face, the first genuine one since Tony had boarded. Then welcome to the rebellion, Iron Man. Fair warning, we don't have fancy headquarters or unlimited resources. We're outgunned, outnumbered, and fighting an empire that controls most of the galaxy. But we've got hope, determination. And now, she gestured to his armor. Apparently a dimensional refugee with fusion-powered repulsors and a flair for dramatic rescues. That's the nicest job description I've heard all week. Tony looked around at the rebel crew. Humans, aliens, droids working together toward a common goal. It reminded him of the Avengers in the best possible way. So, what's next? I assume you didn't risk a ship just to pick me up and drop me at the nearest safe planet. Actually, we're headed to a rebel base in the Lothal sector. It's not much, but it's hidden from Imperial sensors and staffed by some of our best people. Hera pulled up a holographic display showing star systems and hyperspace routes. We need to debrief you, understand your capabilities, and figure out how to integrate your technology with our operations. The Empire knows you exist now. That makes you a target, but it also makes you valuable leverage if we use you correctly. Use me as bait, you mean? Use you as a force multiplier. You've already proven you can accomplish the impossible. Imagine what you could do with rebel intelligence, support, and coordination. Hera's expression turned serious. But I won't lie to you. The Empire won't stop hunting you. They think you're a rogue force user, which means inquisitors and possibly worse will come after you. And if they figure out you're not force sensitive, they'll want your technology. Let them try. Tony's armor sealed shut, the arc reactor glowing bright. I didn't survive Geonosis just to hide in a corner. If I'm stuck in this galaxy, I might as well make myself useful. He paused, a thought occurring. Though I should mention, I have absolutely no idea how to use your hyperspace technology. I can't sense this force thing everyone keeps talking about. And my armor's self-repair systems are great, but not infinite. I'm going to need technical support. We've got the best mechanics in the rebellion, and Click-Clack specifically requested to work with you. Says he wants to understand how your impossible fusion reactor generates stable energy without any visible fuel source. He's going to love talking shop. Tony felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. For the first time since arriving in this galaxy, he wasn't fighting or running. He was planning, building alliances, finding his place in a conflict that wasn't originally his, but felt increasingly familiar. All right, General, get me to your base, introduce me to your technical team, and let's figure out how to make the Empire regret ever noticing me. The ship jumped to hyperspace, that impossible faster-than-light travel that Tony's sensors still couldn't fully explain. Through the viewport, stars became streaks of light, and Geonosis disappeared into the past. Jarvis spoke quietly in Tony's ear. "Sir, I have been analyzing the dimensional rift data. There may be a way to recreate the conditions that brought us here, to potentially return home. How long? Months, possibly years. And it would require resources we do not currently possess. Exotic materials, computing power beyond what this galaxy's standard technology provides, and a comprehensive understanding of the intersection between their hyperspace physics and our dimensional theory." Tony watched the hyperspace tunnel flow past. Somewhere back in his own universe, people probably thought he was dead. Pepper would be worried. The Avengers would be searching. His company would be in chaos. But here, in this galaxy, there were people building cages and people fighting to tear them down. And Tony Stark had never been good at walking away from that fight. "We'll figure it out," Tony said finally. "But not today. Today, we've got a rebellion to help and an empire to annoy." He smiled behind his faceplate. "Besides, how often do you get to be a dimensional refugee superhero? This is going to make a great story when I get back." The rebel ship carried them deeper into unknown space, away from Imperial pursuit, toward allies and resources, and the next chapter of whatever this accidental adventure had become. Behind them, the Empire scrambled to understand what had happened on Geonosis. The armored warrior who defied their might. The ancient technology he'd protected. The message his defiance sent across the galaxy. In Imperial command centers, officers reviewed footage of Tony's attack on the Star Destroyer, his combat against Inquisitors, his impossible escape. They classified him as high-priority threat, authorized additional resources for his capture, and sent alerts to every system under Imperial control. And on the Emperor's throne world of Coruscant, in chambers where darkness held court, a Sith Lord who ruled the galaxy through fear and power learned of the anomaly. The presence that burned like the Force, but felt wrong, mechanical, defiant. The Emperor's interest was piqued. His Inquisitors would hunt this new threat. His forces would capture or destroy it. But Palpatine, who had seen the fall of the Jedi and the rise of his empire, felt something he rarely acknowledged: uncertainty. This armored stranger represented unknown variables, and the Sith Lord, who controlled the galaxy through perfect information and manipulation, disliked unknowns intensely. Across the stars, two forces began their inevitable collision. An empire built on absolute control, and one man in advanced armor who'd crossed dimensional barriers with a simple mission and stayed for a war. Tony Stark had come to this galaxy to extract one engineer. He'd ended up challenging an empire. And somewhere in the vastness of space, the Force itself seemed to shift, as if recognizing that something new had entered the ancient struggle between light and darkness, something that belonged to neither, but might change everything. The mission was complete, but the legend of Iron Man in a galaxy far, far away had only just begun. Tony Stark stood in the Rebel base's observation deck, watching alien stars through reinforced transparent steel. His armor was in the maintenance bay, being studied by fascinated technicians and one very enthusiastic Geonosian engineer. For the first time since arriving in this galaxy, he felt almost normal. If normal meant being a dimensional refugee in the middle of an intergalactic civil war. General Syndulla approached, carrying 2 containers of what passed for coffee in this universe. "Thought you might need this. It's called CAF. Not quite Earth standard, I'm guessing, but it does the job." Tony accepted the drink, sipped it, and made a face. "It tastes like motor oil had a baby with burned toast. I love it." He looked at Hera. "Your people are good, really good. Click-Clack's already theorizing about how to reverse engineer my arc reactor principles for shield generators. If he pulls it off, you'll have defensive technology the Empire can't crack. That's assuming we survive long enough to build it. The Empire's increased patrols across 6 sectors looking for you. But Hera's tone wasn't accusatory, more thoughtful. Though, interestingly, rebel recruitment's up 17% since word spread about the armored warrior who defied the Inquisitors. People respond to symbols of resistance. I'm not a symbol. I'm just a guy in a really expensive suit who doesn't like fascists. Tony watched a rebel transport dock, its crew unloading supplies. But if my presence here helps people remember they can fight back, I'll take it. They stood in comfortable silence. 2 commanders from different galaxies united by common purpose. Finally, Hera spoke. Click-Clack told me something interesting. He said the dimensional message that brought you here, it wasn't just coordinates and a mission briefing. It was a call for help, sent across reality itself by someone desperate enough to try anything. Someone who believed that somewhere, in infinite possibilities, there was a hero who would answer. Tony thought about that. Thought about the strange confluence of events that had brought him here. The experimental technology, the dimensional rift, the mission parameters that appeared like destiny wrapped in quantum uncertainty. You think the Force did this? Brought me here on purpose? I think the Force works in ways nobody fully understands. And I think you showing up exactly when we needed someone like you isn't coincidence. Hera smiled. But whether it's destiny or cosmic accident, you're here now. And that makes you one of us. Tony raised his calf in salute. To being accidentally heroic in multiple dimensions. To hope, Hera corrected, clinking her container against his. And to making the Empire regret every victory they've ever taken for granted. Somewhere in the base, Click-Clack was explaining arc reactor principles to fascinated rebel engineers. Somewhere above, Imperial forces searched for the anomaly that had embarrassed their mighty regime. And somewhere across dimensional barriers too vast to comprehend, Earth continued without knowing one of its defenders was fighting a different war under alien stars. But Tony Stark wasn't worried about tomorrow. He'd faced extinction events, alien invasions, and his own worst mistakes. He'd survived them all by adapting, improvising, and never accepting that victory belonged to whoever had the biggest army. The Empire had Star Destroyers, Inquisitors, and an Emperor who commanded the Force itself. Tony Stark had an arc reactor, a rebellion that believed in impossible odds, and the absolute certainty that tyranny, no matter how powerful, eventually fell to people who refused to quit. He finished his terrible calf, set the container aside, and headed toward the maintenance bay. There was work to do, technology to integrate, and an empire to teach about the consequences of drawing Iron Man's attention. The extraction mission was complete. But the war, Tony's war, had only just begun. And across the galaxy, in the darkness between stars, the Force whispered of changes yet to come, of a man in red and white armor who fought without the Force but carried hope in an artificial heart, of an empire that thought itself invincible, learning that some challenges came from beyond their universe entirely. Tony Stark had entered this galaxy as Santa Claus on an extraction mission. He would stay as Iron Man until tyranny fell, or he found his way home, whichever came first.